I started out with doses that were just kind of minimal, and they kept increasing them, and they got to the point where the morphine was as much as they could give me without stopping my heart. And between the morphine doses, I was chasing oxys to get me to the morphine dose again. And it wasn't even me anymore. Hi, my name is Greg Marlow, and I'd like to share my testimony with you about what God has done for me. In 2011, I was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer called sarcoma. And I'd never heard of sarcoma in my life. Come find out, it's pretty aggressive and it's pretty fatal. And the doctors had only given me a 20% chance of survival during the diagnosis. So by the time they got around to the removal, it had gotten even worse. So they sent me to Vanderbilt Hospital, and after 9 days at Vandy, trying to recover from a 7-hour surgery that just left me in a mess, they wanted to put me in a nursing home, and my wife refused. Angie said, no, we're going to take him home. So they sent me home to be comfortable, which is code for you ain't got much longer left to go, so, die at home. And they loaded me up, sent me home in an ambulance, and I came in, and my living room looked like a hospital bed or a hospital room. It was a mess. So for the next 30 days, I laid and was not allowed to move. That was one of the hardest things I ever done in my life. I found out during that time, for every day that you're immobile, your muscles deteriorate, and it takes a week of recovery just to recover 1 day of loss. So I had 30 days. So by the time that was over, I was not even able to sit up on my own. Well, after a few weeks, I went back to Vandy, and they seen that the cancer wasn't spreading. And the diagnosis kind of changed a little bit. Instead of 6 months, they told me, well, you might live 18 more months, a year to 18, that's at the most, but you'll never walk again. Well, within a year, I was walking again. And a lot of that was God just laying it on my brothers. Every day when they got off work, they would come to my house and they would set me up in the bed. And one would get on one side and one would get on the other. And it started out with 1 step, then 2 steps, then across the room, then the kitchen. And they would, no matter how much pain I was in, they pushed me until I started walking again. Between them pushing and people praying, within a year, 16 months, I was walking on my own again. The doctors were amazed with that. Well, the diagnosis changed again. So instead of 18 months, they said, well, you might live 2 to 3 years. Well, I passed that milestone. And all while passing those milestones, I was doing things that they said, well, you'll never do this, or you'll never do that. You'll never have this. After the doctors seen that I was not going to pass away as quick as they had initially thought, the next thing that I ended up in was rehab and a pain clinic, or pain medication like crazy. And I was on morphine and oxys. I started out with doses that were just kind of minimal, and they kept increasing them, and they got to the point where the morphine was as much as they could give me without stopping my heart. And between the morphine doses, I was chasing oxys to get me to the morphine dose again. And it wasn't even me anymore. Before I knew it, I was flat out addict. I didn't think I could go to bed without it, and I knew I couldn't get up without it. I kept it right by the bed. The first thing I done was start taking it. And I was a mess. I really was. I was flat out hooked. I went to a parents-teacher conference with Angie, and we left, and she was crying, and she said, I'm never going anywhere with you again. She said, you sat in there and slobbered with your eyes half open. And I remember coming home, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. God, you have given me my life back, and this is how I'm repaying you, by staying blown away. And I asked God, man, I said, you got to deliver me from this stuff, because I can't quit. I don't feel like I can breathe without it. So I had to go back. I had a doctor's appointment the next day with my pain doctor, and they always ask me the same questions. You're not selling, right? And I said, no, ma'am, I'm not. Well, how's your pain level? And I discovered all I had to do was say, it's a little worse, and they would up the oxys a little bit. Well, I told her, I said, I ain't gonna lie, I'm still hurting, but I want you to take me off of it. And she said, I can't. And I said, I don't understand why. She said, because you're hooked. And I was blown away. I just couldn't believe it. So I left there that day with an agreement with her that she would taper me down if I would agree that if I'd started detoxing, that I would get back over there as quick as I could. So when I got home from that doctor trip, I took those prescriptions and took a magic marker and drew big X's in them, and then took the pills that I had left into the bathroom and I flushed them down the toilet. And as I was watching those things swirl away, I remember bowing my head saying, and I said, Lord, man, this is all gonna have to be you, because I can't do this alone. And to this day, I have never craved another pill. I've never craved any morphine. I've never took anything any stronger than a Tylenol in 13 years. That's deliverance, and that's a miracle. I did something they told me that I couldn't do. No, I'll take that back. God did something that they told me that couldn't be done, and I laid it all down. And to be honest with you, through that journey, it had been crazy. We had lost nearly everything that we had through this. And not only is God a God of saving, but He's a God of healing, and He's a God of restoration. Because it seems like the biggest part of the things that I lost during all that time, that God is restoring or has restored already. So I'm telling you, God answers prayers. Now, if God will do these things for me, He will do these things for you. So I'm 15 years past a diagnosis that was only 6 months. I've done things that I never dreamed I'd get to do and still doing. And it's not because of me, but it's what God has done. I wake up every day of my life. The first thing I do is I thank God for a brand new day. And the second thing I ask Him for is, Lord, send me somebody that I can bless or be a blessing to. Now, you may not have cancer. You may not have anything that bad, but whatever it is that's got you weighted down, got you worried, got you distracted, God wants to help. God wants to give you your second chance. He gave me my second chance, and He will give you yours. I can't thank Him enough, and I love Him so much for it.
And I'm asking you for mine. You're the God of second chances.